Good afternoon, everybody. Welcome to this webinar about remote selling using LinkedIn. I wish you very welcome here from the Netherlands. I'm in Os in the Netherlands, but we have this is a co-presentation together with Richard van der Blom. I'll just show him briefly. He's in Spain right now, so it's a quite international presentation. And we will walk you through the presentation that we have prepared for you. A few things for how this webinar works. There's also the possibility to use the chat option in the right of your screen. You can send us a question if that's required. We will look at this at the end of the presentation. So if you have any questions, then please feel free to use this chat function so we can answer those questions that you have. Okay, if we look at who I am Guus van der Mond. I'm the co-owner of Apostel. And Apostel is a leading brand ambassador platform for social media. Let me briefly introduce myself and then move over to the point where Richard can introduce himself. Apostel helps our customers with social marketing, social sales, social recruitment, or what we call social binding. So maintaining a relationship with existing customers, for example. And we do that for a lot of customers in the Netherlands, but also throughout Europe. Our platform supports multiple languages as well, besides Dutch, also English, German, French, Italian, Portuguese. I think I forgot one, but the major European languages. And also myself, I'm also the co-author of the book that we wrote, The Social Shift, which is a methodology which was developed by Apostel itself. Well, we have a co-presentation, like I said, so I'm going to give over the screen and the word to Richard, so he can introduce himself, and he will do the first part of the presentation, and I will get back to the second part then. I wish you all the best for this presentation, and I hope you will find it very useful. So, Richard. I think you're still on mute. Yes. Can we hear you, Richard?
Yes.
Okay, yes, there you are. Great.
Yeah. I've given so many sessions that I just make my first fault, and that is not unmuting myself. But thank you, Guus, for the introduction. My name is Richard van der Blom. As Guus told, I was born in the Netherlands, currently living in Spain. I work as a global social selling expert. Provided my first LinkedIn sales training in 2009. Trained over 600 companies in 16 different countries. I'm a member of a LinkedIn European think tank since 2015, which means every 3 months I have a meeting with LinkedIn and we discuss experience new features. I see and work a lot with sales marketing teams throughout Europe. And especially the past year has been very challenging for lots of companies. For myself, I see two big challenges at the moment. The first one is obviously the Corona or COVID crisis and all the measurements our governments are taking, which means our sales reps are no longer very mobile. Offline networking is in some countries strictly forbidden. Meeting our clients, visiting our clients is at least very challenging at the moment. So we needed to adapt very quickly from a physical selling mode to a more remote selling mode. And this has been very challenging for a lot of our organizations, but also for a lot of our sales reps. Now, the second challenge is that we as sellers have lost our monopoly to information. We are often confronted with buyers that are far more informed about the products and services that they can buy in the market, not only from our company, but also from the competitors, than our sales reps are. So where our sales reps mainly come from a point that they want to demonstrate the unique selling points of our own products and services, the buyers, because of the rise of the internet, because of the rise of the social platforms, the referral marketing, are often more and better informed than our sales reps. I started myself 20 years ago in my first sales job. And at that moment, I still had brochures, and I visited my client and I needed to explain all the services we had. And there was internet, but not in the way we have it now. There were no social media, there were no referral sites. So my potential client had to do the same talk with 5, 6 suppliers, and then he needed to create this image of who would be the best possible supplier. Now, 60% of the buying process is done completely online without even any contact with a supplier of a sales rep. So we have lost our monopoly to information. If you look at some insights, and this is from a Gartner research, we see that digital sales channels are accelerating. B2B customers, they radically discount the perceived value of sellers, which means they do not longer see the added value of our sellers in the sales process. And this is huge, because all the salespeople who are used to push their products and services to the buyer, they are not invited anymore. Salespersons who are product-centered, solution-centered, are not invited anymore. The most of our clients state that they experience a lack of insight in the markets from the sellers they meet. So this is huge. Our customers do not see the added value of a sales rep meeting them in their office anymore. On the same page, customers do reward with virtual buying experiences. And we see more virtual buying experiences in B2C, business to consumer. There you can see the online demo centers, there you can see the experience centers, the gamification, the very rich web shops, and even the live chats. And in B2B, the buying experiences is far lesser virtual and evolved far lesser virtual than in the B2C. And of course, increased digital buying means that there is more data available for both buyer and seller to respond to. In the picture on the right side, you can see that the younger the buyer is, the less confidence the buyer has in meeting a sales rep in his office and have interaction with the sales rep in the B2B purchase setting. So, and because the buyers are getting younger and younger, we are going to the millennials, we need to change the attitude of our sales force. So we need to be adaptive, and there is a future of sales when we are adaptive. And on the right hand, you can see what I think a very powerful picture where we have our salespeople, where we have the sales processes, and where we have our technologies. And whether this is our mobile phones, our internet, our LinkedIn, the way we demonstrate our products, it doesn't matter. And the future lies in 3 terms. First, hyper-automation. Because our buyers are not meeting us anymore in person, we need to hyper-automate the space between our processes and the technology. We need to be where our clients are, and if they are on a website, if they respond to a LinkedIn post, if they respond to any kind of content that is out there, we need to have them in a process and be able to respond very quickly. The more quickly than a human could do. Then we have the digital scalability, there where people can send messages through LinkedIn. But again, if people are responding positively, then we should be able to scale these buying signals into our processes. And one way of doing that is by using artificial intelligence. And we are going to an era where data, technology, and AI, artificial intelligence, are becoming more and more vital to stay on top of our sales process. Interesting enough, of course, because of the situation, most of our sellers have moved to remote or digital. And we can see that a lot of our clients, they prefer these remote human interactions via Zoom call, video call, or even digital self-services above in-person contact. And there are some reasons, of course, because it's easy of scheduling. They can schedule it in their own time because it saves on travel expenses, and because they can do it in the sequence and with the amount of time they need them for themselves. So 70 to 80 of our B2B decision makers have stated that they prefer remote human interaction or even digital self-service. This is huge. Now, if we have a look from the period from April, where like Spain went in lockdown and other countries had severe lockdown measurements, until August, we can see a slight move to the effectiveness of new sales models. We can see that a lot of customers experience more effectiveness of new ways of being in contact with suppliers virtually above remote. So you can see that there's an increase in trust, that more and more of our clients expect us to be remote sellers and using remote ways of contacting our potential clients. Because of all the measurements, we can see that traditional in-person sales, because there are no trade shows, there are no events, there are no ways of meeting companies in an informal, traditional in-person way. So the go-to markets has dropped from 61 to 28% since COVID. On the other hand, we can see a serious increase in digital interaction with sales reps, both through video conference, plus 41%, but also online chat. And you can see that especially a lot of B2B companies now are also equipping some of their inside sales to respond to online chat and to improve the online chat environment on the website, because we know buyers are on our website and we might as well start a conversation via a chat on our website. Inside 6 is, in my opinion, one of the most important, because when I got confronted with the COVID measurements, the lockdowns, it was the middle of March, and all my clients in April and May, they canceled my trainings. I called them and we rescheduled the trainings for June and May, June, because we all thought, okay, in 2 months, this will be it. Well, obviously, here we are 9 months later, and now our clients don't expect us to go back to the situation we were before. A lot of clients, they expect that the new go-to-market models, where we are remote, where we are digital, will stay for months. And yesterday I read this article that in Holland, 80%, so 80% of all the companies expect, for example, the way how they meet new applicants for new job openings, 80% of all the companies say the first conversations, the first job interviews will be digital for the upcoming year. So I think remote selling, video calling with our clients will be here to stay even much longer than 12 months. Now, what could be a solution? First solution, we need to be ready to engage the everywhere customer, because 1/3 of all buyers are looking for a seller-free sales experience. So as a chief sales officer, as a sales director, we need to have the right strategy where we enable our sales organization to sell everywhere the customer is and expect us to engage. So this could be in a live chat, this could be through video, but this could also be on LinkedIn, where a lot of B2B clients are networking and are consuming content. Also, it needs a different or an adaptation of a digital commerce strategy. It's essential, and it includes also a website that is positioned as a trust builder, a self-service channel, and also complementary with other channels, for example, with LinkedIn again. And then if you look to your own sales force, we need to equip them with skills, tools, but also the attitude to leverage the individual power in remote and social selling. Second solution, we need to position our sales to facilitate complex buying decisions. We need at first to understand the reasons why buyers make certain kind of purchase decisions. So we need to meet them online where they do their research. And we need to start asking their questions. What are you researching? What kind of challenges do you have? And how do you try to, look for the best solution? And Gartner research shows that it's critical for sellers to boost the buyer's confidence, because uncertainty leads to postponing or canceling the buyer's decision. So instead of sellers from a traditional way of selling being a source of information, now they need to adapt and become a sense maker that will guide the buyer through their journey. So your seller needs to be aside with your buyer, asking what kind of information he has found in his buying journey, and then together with the buyer, start making sense of all the information he has found. And it could be, and this might sound extremely wrong, but it could be that your seller, together with the buyer, draws the conclusion that your solution at this point is not what he wants. But for the long term, this is the only way in how you will create trust with your buyer, because he's already there. He's already gathering information. He does not need our sellers as the next source of information. He needs somebody that is reliable, that is an expert, that has some kind of authority, and that can make sense with all the information he has found. Internally, we need to increase the digital skill set in the sales organization. So we need to have a remote selling program where we provide training on how to use LinkedIn, how to use Sales Navigator training. Obviously, Sales Navigator licenses have gone through the roof since we have the Corona crisis. A lot of companies are now jumping on Sales Navigator as being the holy grail, as being the last possible way to reach out to clients. And one of the disadvantages of this, you have probably noticed this yourself, is that our clients, and also me, myself, and probably you also, are receiving more and more irrelevant, spammy messages, spammy emails from off-topic, irrelevant sellers that are using LinkedIn, actually app using LinkedIn, making app use of LinkedIn to just push their products and services to us as a buyer. And this is how they are ruining the LinkedIn experience for a lot of people. Besides LinkedIn and Sales Navigator training, you need to equip your salespeople how they make virtual sales calls. And at the beginning, March, April, it was perfectly fine if you didn't unmute yourself like I just did. It was perfectly fine when your kids, were in the background, or when your cat hopped on your laptop. But now we have learned and we have evolved very quickly. So now people know that your sales reps, they do need to understand how to create this professional sales call and this professional sales experience for your clients. Also, virtual customer engagement. If we need to provide demonstrations, if we need to provide insights, this also needs to be done virtually, can be done by sales or by pre-sales or by inside sales. And also we have seen an increase of emails up to 40% in Europe from sellers to suppliers, because we cannot meet in person. We are now hopping back on email, but we need to know what is the best way to send emails, because a lot of emails I'll get are way too long, do not have a call to action, do not provide any added value. And there are very strategical ways how you can use email to increase your lead generation or increase your conversion. And of course, the network meetings are off. So now we need to equip our people how to do virtual research. So where to look for all the possible data of their clients. Is it their website? Is it in groups? Is it on LinkedIn? Is it on blog sites? Is it by using tooling that generates data like Vinu or any kind of tooling that provides your sales with additional insights? And also they need to feel comfortable in online networking. Now, if we have a look on LinkedIn, how to successfully leverage remote selling, your sales reps need to have a create strong personal brand. Their LinkedIn profile can no longer be their curriculum vitae. It needs to address the challenges of your customers. If they have done this, they can start to invite their prospects, potential clients, maintaining relationships with both existing and potential clients. And one way of doing this is to provide added value by sharing valuable content, by providing insights, by posting the right content in LinkedIn, and by also knowing the rules of the algorithm. So if they post something on LinkedIn, they can be absolutely sure that it will reach their target audience as well. And if they do this, if they do the 3 steps, create a strong professional brand, expand their network with potential clients and providing insights, that's when they're going to influence the buying process and strengthen also the relationship with your current clients. One thing I always point out, and I can't, say it often enough, LinkedIn is actually organic search engine optimization. If you are working in a bigger company and you enrich the individual profiles of your sales force with the most important keywords, with the most important terms of your solutions, or the terms that your clients are looking for on Google if they're looking for a solution, you will not only build a magnet in LinkedIn to your people and your company, but it will also have a positive impact on Google. Websites are being boosted on keywords by LinkedIn. So especially in the larger companies, you have so much potential if you start using and if you make sure your employees understand the enormous power LinkedIn can have for them as a salesperson, but also for the company as a whole. Gaining trust is key. Normally, a sales rep would gain trust when he first meets his client. When he entered the office, he started his conversation, he looked competent, he looked reliable, he has a certain kind of seniority. But now in 78% of all the occasions, the first meeting is online. It's via LinkedIn, it's via Zoom, it's via video call. So we need to understand that we are now creating trust through online. And this means another way of working as well. We need to know how to connect with potential clients. And I do not mean sending them an email and say something like, hey, I seen you're responsible for this in your company. When do we have it? But I mean, they need to connect value from the reach out, and that they get a high conversion rate, acceptance rate on the invites. Okay. So we need to find a way how to stand out from the crowd that is now only using LinkedIn as this massive spam tool to bombard their clients with all kinds of demo requests, video requests, meeting requests. So we need to provide value in connecting with potential clients. One of the ways to do that is to enable our employees to share valuable content. Because in 90% of the cases, the buyer is not visiting our company page on LinkedIn, but is visiting an individual profile of a sales rep or a marketing employee of the company who is sharing content. And the reason why is that individual content is much more shown than company content. So if you would take the exact same post and put it on a company page and on an individual post of a sales rep, regardless of the amount of connections, the sales rep in percentage will reach far more people than the company page. And of course, we can use LinkedIn to identify buying signals. And whenever I provide training to sales teams, it always gets me that a lot of people are not aware that you can identify and search with keywords for all the descriptions that people post on LinkedIn. They only look to the timeline in the free version of LinkedIn or in the Sales Navigator. But if you know for what kind of keywords to look, you can identify every possible discussion on LinkedIn, even if you're not connected with the person or the company. So there are massive buying signals on LinkedIn. We just need to know how to identify them. 4 more tips. There are a lot of rumors about social selling index. Some people say it's a vanity metric. Other people say it's important. I know it's important. Why? Because the higher your SSI score, the higher your visibility, the higher your profile will rank in search engines, in LinkedIn, and the more reach your content will get. LinkedIn sees your SSI score as a relevance factor. The higher the score, the more value you provide to the platform, and in return, they reward you with more visibility, more findability, and more reach. So one of the main KPIs in all social selling programs or remote selling programs should be to get your sales reps or any kind of employee that has contact with potential clients or clients to the highest SSI possible. Second tip, Sales Navigator. And I don't have any shares in LinkedIn, but I see a massive advantage in using Sales Navigator because it provides not only more filters to identify your prospects, or it does not only provide you with more updates to filter, to reach out on the most relevant way, in the most relevant time, but imagine the CRM connection. If you connect LinkedIn with your CRM tool, then you build a huge, powerful sales machine. Because if you have a proposal and your buyer is leaving the company and he states this on LinkedIn, then your CRM is immediately updated and will give you a notification that the one person you are talking with in the company is leaving the company. So your deal is at risk. And as today, LinkedIn announced LinkedIn Sales Insights, which is a new platform. It's a new dashboard, especially for LinkedIn Sales Navigator Enterprise Edition, which will give you a total overview of all the accounts you are targeting. It's huge. Then it's very important that your people, your employees, understand the LinkedIn algorithm. Because 3-4 years ago, or maybe even 2 years ago, the biggest challenge on LinkedIn was to create valuable content, to create content that provides added value for our customers. Now, the majority, they have a lot of valuable content with unique insights. But if you don't understand the rules of the algorithm, and for example, you ask your employees to share the same content by hitting the share button on your company page, it is not going to work because the algorithm punishes it. So one of the main reasons, or one of the main aspects of empowering your salespeople is giving them insights in the algorithm so they can create impact with their content. Not only post the content, but make sure that the right audience gets to see it, to make sure that they get the optimal, biggest reach of the content, and that they drive the highest conversion. Now, I think Guus, you're going to think something more about the algorithm.
Yes, thank you very much, Richard. I will take over the screen right now. If you have any questions about the part that Richard was presenting, then please ask it in the chat. We'll answer that at the end of the session. Yeah, if you take a look at the algorithms, this is an overview of the last year about the impact of social media posts on corporate accounts, which means your company's LinkedIn account. So 10 years ago, it was like this, that if you posted something on it, and then all people who are following the post receive that post in their timeline. However, they have quite changed that, as you can see, and right now it is like this: is that only 2 to 4% of the followers sees this kind of post in the timelines. The reason why they did this is that they said, okay, well, our users, our users have a preference to see posts from real people, posts instead of company posts. So that's one reason. Of course, the other reason is that, of course, LinkedIn is also a commercial company. They say, well, if we do not create that much reach for corporate accounts, then of course they can always do some advertising on our platform. So there's also some benefits for them by restricting the reach from corporate accounts like this. But it means that you only have a reach for 2 to 4% of your community which is following you. And the way most of the people that are following this company page do already know you, because otherwise they didn't follow you. So, and it's good to know and take into account. So if you look at these numbers, then you say, well, I would like to reach out to 1,000 people. And if I use 2% organic reach, then you would have to have 50,000 followers, which is quite a lot. And then again, it's also the followers who already know you. So to summarize, yeah, it's free. You can visit. There's no loss associated with it, but it's not really a useful channel to reach out to new customers or to generate some new leads. So let's look at the options how we can use LinkedIn for it in another way. So forget about the corporate pages. You still need to do it. It's quite good because it's sort of like a website. If somebody goes to that company page, now you see sometimes all the posts, which is good if you go there, but you don't reach new customers. Other ways, of course, to use some advertising. I'll go briefly into that, and of course, use some the personal approach, which is the best approach I can already share with you. Let's focus on the advertising first, which might also be very valuable depending on your situation. The way that it works is that you can show ads in the audience timeline. So you're on the right, there's an ad, or in my case. And the nice thing is that you can say, well, I'd like to present this ad to a target audience. And I can define that target audience myself. So I can say, well, I want people in this region, with this function, with this seniority, but also with these kind of interests. Because everything that you do within LinkedIn, but also on the sites that have a connection with LinkedIn, so you can place a LinkedIn pixel on a website so that you can track the traffic. And so it knows pretty well what your interests are, what kind of topics that you're interested in, what kind of places that you visit, what kind of technology that you use yourself. Is it a Mac system? Is it a Windows system? Do you use the mobile? From what kind of locations are you using? So all that information, you can use that to make a target selection of the people who can see this ad in their timeline. And what usually happens is that there's some click-through, like this case, there's some downloads for you, click through some landing page where you can get more information. Well, that's the good news. The good news is that people don't really appreciate it as much, because they say, well, if you look at the investigation that has been done, research, it says that, okay, ads on a social network has quite a low trust, only 36%, and therefore are less influencing. And of course, most people rely on the people that they know. So who's in the network, what are they saying, friends, family, and also the business relations. As you can see, there's a 92% of trust from those people. So that means that you can use LinkedIn advertising. For some places, it's still quite good. It's not cheap, especially if you compare to other advertising networks. LinkedIn is probably the more expensive one. And it also has quite low conversion rates as an average, which means that if I present an ad to let's say 100 people, then only 0.35% will actually do a click on that link. So that means that you need to buy in quite some impressions to really get some people on your landing pages. However, you can use some tricks like retargeting and lookalikes. Retargeting is that once you visit that landing page, we can send another ad, and that usually works quite well because people are interested and, well, they see some more information. So you really might show them 3 or 4 or 5 times before they actually convert to something. And of course, you can use lookalikes. which is a group of people which is similar to a certain group of people that already are a customer, for example. But to summarize it, well, it's still a way to reach out to the right target audience, especially if you're in need of a very short time frame. So it means that you want to have leads within a couple of months, then this might be a good way. It's not cheap, and the effect is really not sustainable, because if you stop advertising, if there's the end of your budget, and then there's no single coverage anymore of your messages, because it's just weird. You cannot go back in history, it's just gone. So that's the advertising part. Let's move over to the personal part, which is a direct and personal approach to find your new customers, to your suspects and to your prospects. Richard already told us about the algorithms, and one consequence is that it says, well, we raise a personal post from a personal person pretty much higher than such a corporate post. Actually, it's between 25 and 50%. Well, if you compare that to the 2% organic reach from a corporate post, then I should have 50,000 followers to reach 1,000 people. But if I use these numbers and say, well, let's take 25% as a reach, which is pretty low, and we also take the average of 400 contacts per person, per employee, then I can just calculate that I need 10 employees, and we call them ambassadors, and also reach out to 1,000 people. So really, that's a good way to find a new prospect as well. So as long as I have multiple people in my organization, and it's not just one, but more people who are sharing interesting content, then I can get a quite good reach quite easily. That's one thing. The other thing is, well, how do you do this? Of course, you can follow a potential customer. You can see what he's thinking about, identifying the opportunities that he was talking about, and of course, you can respond to that. And also, of course, you can also invite people, connection requests, and use an email option if you want. It's reaching out to them and make sure that you're reaching out to them with bringing something, not really getting something, but bringing something. So like this, we also invited some people that were saying, well, we can do this webinar. We're bringing some knowledge. Of course, we're very happy if you say, well, thank you very much. Maybe we can do a follow-up. That would be nice. But first, it's really about sharing the things that we have. Like I just said, the best way to sell is to become the advisor. So not really the seller, but to guide the buyer in the whole process and be the thought leader. So make sure that you're the person, you're the expert that they want to talk to about the whole process of decision making. But how can you do that? It comes down to really all about some content, because that's really the most important one. I'd like to share this model. Some of you might know it. This is the model that Google invented a while ago. And they said, well, each time the person goes through a buying decision, he goes through a certain set of phases. So at first, the buyer wants to understand who you are and what you do. Basically, who's your company, what are they doing, before even going into any other things. Once they know this is what the company does, this is what they can offer, in their minds, they're always making some kind of a judgment. Well, what do you do? Is it interesting for me? And also, why should I buy something from that organization, that person? Why should I not go to any competitor, for example? This process can sometimes happen within seconds, and sometimes it might take months to do this, to go through this process. But they need to go through this see phase and to the think phase to come to the do phase. The do phase is actually the most important one of this, because that's where a buyer, potential customer, says, okay, well, I'm interested to take the next step. So you might be interested in downloading a white paper, you might be interested in joining a webinar, you might be interested in making an appointment, planning a meeting to discuss some things with you. And what a lot of things that a lot of mistakes that are made on the internet, the people are right going through the phase. Then you're in the selling mode. Hey, I've got this product, buy it for me. Well, that's not how it works. You first need to say, you need to explore yourself. You need to say, okay, this is who we are. This is what our expertise is. Make sure that you're the person that they trust, that they rely on, and then they're open really to the phase. Don't forget the care phase. It's also quite important. Existing customers also want to know what you're doing, what the new things are you are developing, because it might result in some upselling, might result in some cross-selling, or there might be an ambassador for you to say, well, this is really a great company. I know they're also working on some new stuff. So it's really important to keep this in mind. The most important tip I would give you right now is to be authentic. Really, stock photos are out of the question. Don't use them anymore. It's really something that does not work. And it really shows up because if you're doing a post and you use a standard stock photo or stock video, people will see it immediately, right away. And it means that you don't get that much engagement as you could have if you would use authentic content. So make sure that you create your own pictures, create your own videos, create your own text, and post that. That's the most important thing. Okay, so basically it comes down then to two challenges: how to get the right authentic content, and how can I mobilize my colleagues? Because of course it would be nice if I, as a salesperson, would do this, but it would be much better if not only myself, but also my other sales colleagues would post this kind of content on their LinkedIn. But also the marketing department, and also the project managers, the consultants, the developers, whatever kind of company that you're in, because they're all sort of a representation of your company. So that means that you need, if you can mobilize your colleagues to do this, then it would be really very great, because you have good content which share them by a lot of colleagues. But how do we do this? Well, that's also a thing where we can use platforms like the Apostle platform for. Basically, it's a software set of software as a mobile app and a web app, and we can use that to do two things. One is that with the mobile app, you can create a picture, you can create a video, you can type in some text very easily, and it's not going to be published right away on social media, but we can first send this out to a social master. A social master is a person in your organization, a person's, who receives that content and can say, well, okay, that's great. Now I can make some good content with it. I can also apply my corporate guidelines for security, for quality, or whatever. And then I can make a ready-made post and publish that to one or a group of people. Don't post the same message to everybody, so don't post any message to 200 people, actually the same, but you can make variants of it quite easily. Say, well, this variant is for that group of person, so the project managers in Region East or the salespeople which are focusing on this small and medium business in Region South, whatever, this is the message that they will get reposed. That message then comes down into the app or even by email, and they can, with one click, they can share it as a personal message on their own LinkedIn. So that means that you don't need to share a message that's already been published on the corporate page, but it's really your message, and you can also adjust it, you can edit it, and really make it more personal. But it's very easy because now you can share all the content out there. It's also been looked at by social master, so it's really good quality content, and that's the thing that you can do and you can share. So how does it look? It's just a very from brief screens. How does it work? This is a mobile app. It's an app which is available in the app stores from Apple, iOS, and from Android. It's available in 5 languages. This one is Dutch, but you can just click on the plus button and well, take a picture or select one which is on your mobile phone or a video. Type in some text with it and send it in to the social master. So it comes down in your archive, and now it is with the social master. The social master can say, well, okay, I see this in my inbox, my inspiration wall, and we see this impulse being sent there, and we can use this content and say, well, I'd like to use this as a starting point for my new message. Come in the computer, I can of course edit the text, change it, I can put in some links, some emoticons, whatever. I can schedule a date and a time and say, well, this message will be published to the ambassadors which I'm going to choose. For example, tomorrow or next week or the next 2 weeks or right now. You can have several choices with that. And then you can say, well, okay, let's schedule it to a number of people. I can select that to, of course, the employees in an organization, so my sales reps or my project managers or my marketing people. But I can also, at the same time, plan it for my corporate pages. I'm planning something in anyway, so let's also do this for the corporate pages. And I can also invite some other people which are outside my network. For example, we've had a great project. We finished this. We have sort of a celebration with this. So we have a nice meeting. The customer's happy, and we're happy as a company. So we have a handshake and a picture of that. So why not also send this post to the customers which are also on the picture? And they really like it because they're on the picture, it's about their project. So they can also share this message. They get a simple email, just click on sharing, and then they can share this message on their LinkedIn. So there you can also leverage the network of your customers again, and also from business partners, the suppliers. So you can use all the people that you work with to ask them if they want to help you with your getting your message across. So in the end, then, of course, this message is then suggested to the ambassadors. We have two ways: one via the email, the other via the app. Well, there's the proposed message, and I can believe it. Of course, I'm also in control of my social media. So as an ambassador, as an employee, or as a customer, I can say, well, I don't want this to be shared on my LinkedIn. But I can also, of course, share it, and I can choose the platform, edit the message, I can, make it more personal, and then publish it on LinkedIn and also on other platforms, as you can see. We also have the option to also use people to tag with, so then you can say, well, okay, great, I want to tag some the names of the customers, so they know that they're in, and so they get mentioned again. So that's really a great way of distributing your content. Okay, of course, we can also measure things, so you can see, okay, who's using what, how many posts we create, how many are actually being shared, by whom, on what pages. If you use the links in there, we can also measure that. We also have a Power BI reporting dashboard, so you can also see that. So that's really the tools that you need to make sure that your sales organization is really going to remote selling. Couple of examples. Centerpoint is a customer of ours. They're in the IT industry, the vendor agnostic computer and electronics industry. They have 134 ambassadors, which are regularly posting. So it means that for the last 1.5 years, we have 2,200 authentic messages that has been sent. And if you calculated the reach, then we have reached out to, in total, 1.7 million people, and just by 134 ambassadors. Of course, the content is very personal. Sometimes, of course, you have messages which is presented to one person, but also to another person. But as you can see, they're making their own variant of this, or you can, as a social master, create those variants for them. And it's really successful because using this was really the starting point for them to go really also do the remote selling. This is a very successful use case. You can use it, of course, within your employees, but this one is also an interesting example. Shimano is a brand for bike products and also fishing products. And they said, okay, well, we are using our traditional dealer channel. So that means that we're not selling directly. Most of the time we're not. Our stuff is being sold by the local bike shops in every region. So why not? Let's help them with their social marketing. So what they did, they used this platform to create some posts and also get some authentic content and create some posts which were proposed then to the local bike shops. So that means that they are focusing on getting traffic to local shops, which is really great because the dealer, the bike dealer, is really happy with that because he gets more traffic into this local shop. And of course, it's all about Shimano products, so things that apply to the community of that local shop. So of course, the Shimano sales will also increase due to this. So you can also use this in a sort of a way like you have an indirect selling model, which means that you sell to dealers, you sell to value-added resellers. Well, if you do that, then you can also use such a platform basically to help your dealers sell the products that you have. So I think also looking at the time, we wanted to have some space for questions again. So I hope that I can show you how you can increase sales by leveraging the social media networks of your organization, and not only yourself, but also the other employees. I hope I've shown you that the value of authentic content is really quite high, and you really should take steps to create this authentic content. And of course, it's something that, well, it's not something about this is the tool and throwing it over and good luck with it. You also need to make sure that you train the people, like I just said, make sure that they understand the algorithms, and make sure that they know how to use it, and you can be very successful on LinkedIn for social remote selling. Okay, so this is our presentation. If you have any questions, and I see some things in the chat there. Let's see. Oh, that's also a question about can we share this live? We will send you a replay video. And if you want, just give us a message, and then we can also share the presentation itself. And the other things are, there are more chats of people who say, oh, I'm very satisfied with your demo, so that's very nice to hear. Thank you very much. If you want some more info, you can plan a short meeting with either one of us. We have published our monthly links in here, so that means that you can make your own appointments for 20 to 30 minutes. We can give you some more explanation about the things we have, and of course we're very interested in hearing what are your challenges in there. Richard, do you want to add something to this? Okay, I'll contribute that then.